This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman as we conclude today's broadcast by looking at the documentary film program here at Sundance Film Festival. Observers have long noted documentaries are the strongest component of the festival, with the LA Times writing last week, quote, "As always with Sundance, the documentaries are the most reliable choice festival goers can make." All 5 of the films nominated for the 2013 Academy Awards for Best Documentary have played here at Sundance. The films are Five Broken Cameras, The Gatekeepers, How to Survive a Plague, The Invisible War, and Searching for Sugar Man. This year, the festival includes 28 feature-length documentaries from the U.S. and around the world. They feature a wide range of subjects, including the story of WikiLeaks, abortion, the Egyptian Revolution. We'll be bringing you that story, The Square, tomorrow on the 2nd anniversary of the Egyptian Revolution. Immigration, covert wars, many more. We're joined right now by Cara Mertes, the director of the Sundance Institute Documentary Film Program and the Sundance Documentary Fund, joining us here in Park City, Utah. Cara, welcome to Democracy Now!
Thanks so much for being here.
It's great to have you with us. So it has, we're moving in on the 11th year of your program. What is this program?
This program is the year-round support mechanism that the Institute has. So Bob Redford really had a vision to create a platform for documentaries and independent feature films, started, in 1984.
So just to be clear, for people who don't know, who are watching or listening around the world, is that the Sundance Film Festival was founded by Robert Redford.
Absolutely. And he always had the notion that he wanted to support artists first. And so the labs and the year-round support actually started before the festival. And we had feature film in here very early on, and the documentary program really came here in 2002. So we've had a fund, we've had labs, we've had creative support, we network, our filmmakers, we often find additional financing for them, and we also work internationally year-round to support documentary wherever we can. We're in China, we're in India, we're in the Middle East. We're really supporting a global independent documentary
movement. And how do people access this? How do they learn about this?
Well, that you can, of course, go to the website, and we have calls year-round.
And the website is?
The website is sundance.org. And people can apply to our fund, the Documentary Fund, and that's how you become a grantee. And then we invite you to various labs that we have year-round, or workshops, work-in-progress screenings. We have a whole slate of awards and other support mechanisms that we use to bring the film's quality to the level that the artists themselves really want. And we form communities of documentary filmmakers. So, for instance, this year we have 12 films that went through our documentary program that were selected by the Sundance Festival programmers. There's no guarantee, if you get into the program that I run, that you will actually be in the festival. So those films have to compete against the other 2,000 entries that are viewed and get chosen. And this year, out of the 40 documentaries that were programmed, 12 of them came through the documentary program, so we're thrilled with that.
Well, let's talk about one of them, the one we started with when we flew in on Monday night from Washington, D.C. with our 5-hour special covering the inauguration. You go to democracynow.org to see that. We flew to Salt Lake City, raced to the library for a 9 o'clock showing of Dirty Wars, The World is a Battlefield. It premiered at Sundance in the U.S. documentary competition section. The film was directed and edited by Richard Rowley of Big Noise Films, and Jeremy Scahill, the narrator and subject of the film, also co-producer who co-wrote the script. Of course, Jeremy was a producer at Democracy Now!, a correspondent, also national security correspondent at The Nation. And the film follows Jeremy to Afghanistan, Somalia, and Yemen as he chases down the hidden truth behind America's expanding covert wars.
Aden. Yemen's ancient port city was nothing like Kabul. In Afghanistan, life was defined by the war. Everything revolved around it. But in Yemen, there was no war, at least not officially. The strike seemed to have come out of the blue, and most Yemenis were going about life as usual. It was difficult to know where to start. The Yemeni government claimed responsibility for the strikes, saying they'd killed dozens of al-Qaeda operatives. But it was unclear who the targets really were, or who was even responsible.
An excerpt of the film Dirty Wars, The World is a Battlefield. You are hearing the narrator, the investigative journalist Jeremy Scahill, who co-wrote this documentary with Dave Riker. Cara Mertes, use this as an example of how a film incubates, how remarkable this film is. I mean, here this week, there have been as many drone strikes in as many days, what, 5, on Inauguration Day itself, U.S. drone attacks. And this is what Jeremy takes on, this and JSOC.
So Anthony Arnov and Brenda Coughlin, who are the producers of this, took this film to me very, very early on and said, we want to do this. Of course, so many of us know Jeremy's work. He's a phenomenal reporter. And as soon as I understood the scope of what they were trying to do, we do what we often do. We were some of the first money in. We funded them very, very early on to go and find the story and understand how Jeremy himself would become a character in his own story, and they would recreate, in a way, the journey over the course of the 75 minutes that you watch this film. It's really a journey of a lifetime that Jeremy has gone through, and sort of create a portrait that is so human around an international issue that people just don't understand. And so that 75 minutes, people walk out of that theater absolutely transformed. In fact, I've never seen a film screen at Sundance where people are so stunned that nobody claps when the first credit comes up. And at the end, they just leave. It's astounding, the effect that that film has had. And of course, now it's sold. And we're going to be seeing it on screens around the country.
This is IFC Sundance Select.
That's correct. And there's going to be screenings. The book is going to be released, and the film will be seen around the country in theaters. So it's very, very exciting.
Talk about other films here.
There are 12 films, as I said, and in fact you just had After Tiller and Gideon's Army on, and they're really amazing films. And I guess out of the films that are here this year, one of the themes that I see is this attempt to construct a portrait of humanity, a sort of 360-degree portrait of the lives of the people that are being treated, the subjects of these films, so that we can begin to understand from all points of view what these characters are going through. So Jeremy does this. Robert Reich is in Inequality for All, and he and Jeremy both realize that film now is an incredible messenger for them. It's a very, very concise way to deliver, sort of profound messages about the realities of our world. After Tiller, following the doctors and nurses, after the cameras leave, what happens? How do these people live their lives? How do they stand up for their convictions? So over and over and over again, we see these portraits in the films here this year.
And women filmmakers. Today we had on 2 women filmmakers, 3 women filmmakers, and a study was just done talking about their effect on films and documentaries.
Absolutely, and we see 2 distinct paths. There's a women's initiative now going on at Sundance Institute, which wants to call out the paths that women have, both in feature film and in documentary. And of course, in documentary, if you spend any time here, you understand that documentary is full of women directors and women storytellers. In the feature film world, it's a bit different, and that's the real challenge, I think, that we see.
I want to thank you, Cara Mertes, for joining us, director of the Sundance Institute Documentary Film Program and the Sundance Documentary Fund. Tomorrow we will look at The Square, a documentary that's premiered here about the Egyptian Revolution on, well, tomorrow will be the 2nd anniversary of the Egyptian Revolution. You can go to our website for all of our coverage of Sundance. That's democracynow.org. Democracy Now! Thanks so much for watching this report from Democracy Now!, your daily independent global news hour. We don't accept advertising or corporate funding, but rather rely on donations from viewers like you. Please make your contribution by visiting democracynow.org. We need your support today to keep bringing you this hard-hitting, in-depth reporting.